Hey, what's up guys, Junior here. In today's video, we're going over the week of November 1st, 2021. This week finished on 6.16 handles, and in terms of trades, they're all pretty good. First trade was the N2K, the Russell. Alright, so the Russell's flying now. It's been in a extended daily range for quite a bit, so some trades in between, but in a range nevertheless, and it's just exploding out of it. So the Russell is going to be the market to look at for the next few weeks. It'll be very interesting to see how that ends on the year. Right, so this is the confirmed swing. I had a bunch of other stuff drawn, but I'm like, okay, clean slate, remove everything. What's happening? That's what I like to do every single morning when the picture seems to be escaping me. Just remove everything and redraw it. Right. So going on this green swing, boom here, it happened here, oh no, and it expanded. Okay, so that's the expansion. We have a bit of a gap slide too. So gap slide? No, this is gap swap, not gap slide. Well, gap slide, sure, whatever. Regardless, it swapped out of it. We had a press essentially, and I was playing a retest of that press to a double the range. Actually, no, I was looking for a measured move. However, it went into a double the range as it started ranging out a bit more. It tested down here, went up, tested down here, went up. And at this point, I was like, all right, let's do double the range. With that said, it stopped me out, and well, this was just a wash. So it poked me out. There's not really telling that this is going to be a wash. So the stop placement was adequate. However, secondary entries are on the table. I did try to do that and it did not work. Do I have the chart? I do not believe I do. Regardless, I tried to enter on the swap of this guy, or maybe it wasn't even this level. I think it was this guy. Tried to enter, didn't work. Tried to enter again, didn't work. Or I didn't get filled, didn't come low enough, and it went on without me. Oh well, that's trading. So this was a nice context, a nice expectation, and it did get filled out. However, my entry and stop, or my stop rather, didn't play nice. That's fine. I think the stop placement was adequate. It just washed me out. Right. So here we have the MES. We have a confirmed swing. This is playing the blues. It did it here again. Come back here, and I'm like, oh, expansion. Notice how it didn't make a much higher high. Just kind of poked, or well, more than a poke. It made some higher highs, but not as much gusto as this impulse right here. And it came down. Boop, boop, boop. Kept going down. One thing I want to be paying attention to a bit more is the mean reverting trades, or the play for the expansion. Haven't quite done it as much. The only trade I really have under my belt for that is if there's a confirmed minor, breaks the minor, expands into the major. In this case, this is more of a here's the major, and not really much in terms of minors, but by reading the impulse of this guy and the kind of pivot component of these swings down here when it's nice and low, well, maybe this swap here could have been a short. I have trouble making that leap as of yet, but I'll be looking at it as time unfolds. Expanded into the kill zone, or yeah, the kill zone of this swing right here. You can say second swing back, possible. And this was pretty crystalline, right? Boom, came back down, bang, bang, bang. Ooh, swap could go right here, but for me there wasn't enough spacing quite yet, so I was looking to play on this entry. Originally the orange swing, or the reddish swing, was nice and low, like came up, came back down. That's where I wanted it. However, it poked a bit higher, and no, not quite. Did it go to target? I believe it went to here, came back down. I thought about the expansion idea, or the long con, so short con, a long con. A long con with an entry right here would have stopped me out. However, if I'm playing for a much bigger swing, see, I marked out, okay, potential targets, but from where I want to enter, find the ones here. So a target right here would have been fine, or anywhere else really. And I pulled my order, said, okay, I'm not waiting for this anymore. It came, would have stopped me out. So good thing I pulled the order. Regardless, what can be learned by this scenario? Well, with right side entries, if I'm following this minor, pull my entry up rather. So that would be kind of the comment. Right side entries, follow the swing, or follow the swing. Don't be stubborn on the initial entry. I'll spell correct that in post. There you go. And initial starter, I'm not too sure. It might be. Anyway, so what does that mean? Again, although I wanted it to come back right here, it went up a bit more, and bam, look, it fulfilled it perfectly. The stop was adequate. I would have had a nice stop behind here, and that's that. In terms of targets, the problem is I'm wondering if the RVR would have been there. If I had the entry right here, again, this is kind of like kill zone gap area. My entries here, we have 1-to-1 here. We have like 2-to-1 here, and 3-to-1 approximately here. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. I played how I played it and didn't get filled. Didn't take a loser. No trade. All right, so this is the other MES trade I took on the S&P. Well, look, the market's going up. Oh yeah, this is exactly what I meant. Notice how the two swings I was talking about went all the way up to targets around this gap here, kind of where they threw off the cliff, came back, didn't knock these guys out. So that's pretty interesting too. Notice how this is kind of the pivot that swapped it or switched the scenario. So if you're looking for a much larger play and you entered here or here, but you have a stop down here, well, it went to target. So that's interesting. Regardless of the scenario, I kind of erased my mind or erased everything I had, redrew it, and considered, well, what will happen after the FOMC? I saw this action. I'm like, okay, I'm not touching that. That's nasty. Like, once you have this, okay, someone breaks, someone fall into, and then you're seeing this, and you're like, okay, well, it ain't quite break it with gusto, and then it comes here. At that point there, you stop trading. See what happens. Boom, FOMC comes back down one more time. And then at exactly this moment, press and process. That's what this is. And it gave a really clutch entry. Nice swap of this area. This is the potential kill zone. Boom, swaps it. Entered right here. You can claim something to break, something to fall into. That's perfectly adequate. I was looking for a measured move based on the quick momentum of this press. I was not looking to stay in it all too much because the higher high relative to this pivot, man, it's already a higher high. It could go here, come back down, stop me out, and keep going. So that's why I was looking for a nice quick exit or quick measured move. What else happened? I was willing to play for the warning line here with a trailing stop based on kind of the price action. I saw it closed up here, decided, all right, I'm going to put my stop here. It didn't quite work out, low ticked, and this eventually went to target. Whatever, wasn't willing to erode any more emotional capital in the trade, so I'm more than satisfied with this stop management. Came back down, swapped me out, whatever else, doesn't matter. There wasn't much structure being built. Gap isn't much of a higher high in, yes and no, but look, It's already 3-1. I was looking for the measured move. I was willing to play for the open line, willing to play for the warning line if it went swiftly. It kind of drifted. It did, however, continue to rip higher. But for me, that doesn't matter. Look, 3-1. That's my risk. Boom, reward. Overall, pretty satisfied. The NQ did have a similar trade. However, we'll go over some of the early NQ trades and ideas in the week. All right, pretty simple, really. We have an expansion. It will expand a bit more than, let's say, the projection would have suggested. You know, it would have came about here to the press, but look, it didn't break it. Came up here, you're like, okay, comes back down. This would be considered potential kill zone for the expansion. So that's interesting. The NQ gotta be definitely a bit more loose with it. 100% you gotta be more loose with the NQ if you want to take good trades. Regardless, what did it do? It did the blue, came up here. I'm like, all right, that's my swing that I'm trying to get on with, you know, an entry, maybe a measured move. Seems simple enough. Something to break, something to line into. This is my press structure, my Sabi I'm trying to lean on. Coincided with doubling out this kill zone. That's another thing I would like, that I tend to do nowadays. If I'm trying to push a structure, I just double the structure out, use it for the stop. Or maybe there's a press. In this case, there's a press here, so I just played it just underneath. What happened? Well, it just continued on without me. No stress. It was a no-fill. Nothing more you can do about it. And here is the similar scenario I was talking about on the S&P. Boom, FOMC move, comes back down. Ooh, a little stress sheet. It's not really a press, a little different, but you know what? What did it do? You can say this is the blue swing, this is our major, and you really have to relax your eyes on this one. Perhaps I can draw it. Oops, there we go. About right here. And it drew a really nice press or swap zone, and that's really all you need. Okay, where are the sellers? Where are the buyers? Maybe a bit lower than that, eh? I hate when it doesn't grab it. Anyways, that's what I was looking for. Something like this, right? It happened a bit sharper due to the FOMC. And what ended up happening, we swapped that pretty hard. Retest there. Not my favorite trade. I'm just watching. Ooh, came up here. I'm like, okay, we're going. Here's a blue swing. All right, that gave me a bit of confidence to take the trade. And then I spotted this swap. I'm like, oh, it's swapped that. That's where sellers and buyers were. Or that's where sellers took over. Sellers achieved relative to this pivot. Banged up here. And what happened? Boom. Sellers gave up. We have initial buyers. Ooh, leaned up. So anybody who was maybe buying here based on this swing, they had their stop there. Bam, taken out. But was the ultimate low taking out? No. And what happened? We have a nice gap. Boom, retest the gap. Comes back down. Boom, gap swap. Retest. Boom. Beautiful trade. Beautiful trade. In this case, it continued forward. My stop was just enough. Just enough. Behind this pivot with some room. This took a while to fill out. And one thing I noticed with the NQ, once it gets going, it gets higher or it's stretched. If you look at the orders or look even at the bars, it starts going zzz. The algorithms turn on if you want to say that. Very interesting. Like, this is nice, flowy. It's not that bad. It's coming down, coming up, coming down. And then once it gets here, pretty gnarly stuff. Regardless, this was my target. Nice measured move, right? Boom, boom. No fill there. I'm like, ooh, so close. and nice tight stop, stops me out, whatever, I'm out at 3. So very similar to the management I took with the S&P. Oh wait, no, where's the S&P? Right here. Very similar management, except this one didn't work. Maybe I could go a bit lower. Maybe it could have been behind here. Regardless, it wasn't. Watch these guys out. Came to target, bounced, continued, but you know what? 4.31 handles, more than adequate. So I did note that I would put the stop behind the CIB. So the CIB in this case would be this pivot here. This really launched it out of the swap. However, with the range, the stop range, 63 to 125, again, the NQ is relatively pricey, or rather, it's pretty volatile. So the stops are larger relative to each tick value. So that's what happens there. My stop ranges are much higher, so might as well cover this pivot as well. No stress really, and it's close enough. Ooh, I put my stop here relative to there. Whatever. And I think that's about it. Oh no, one more MNQ trade. As one can tell, I'm taking a lot of NQ trades. Not too bad. As I said, I don't really mind. NQ is moving nicely, it seems, although the Russell is moving just as nice. So what ended up happening, I was following, I showed up to the chart, noticed it was doing these blue swings. It made a new high, then sharply lower. Made a new high, then sharply lower. So I was looking for possibly a very simple new high, because the observation of these guys, sharp, right back down, sharp, right back down. I had a left side entry right here based on the expansion, based on the kill zone, yada, yada, yada. What ended up happening, it swapped before it got to that level. So what was here? Well, it was a press. Okay, so buyers showed up. Looked at the green swing. I'm debating. I'm like, do I really want to take it that high? I was looking for a pullback here. I'm like, oof. Nah, I want it lower. I want it right here. Somewhat contradictory to last week's observation, how I just want to follow the swing. However, this is a little different. The stop is not covering anything. At this point, it's just in thin air. And it's coming back right where these guys are. So for that reason, I decided to stick with my guns. If I got filled, cool. If I didn't, well, there's nothing I can do about it. What ended up happening, it went up. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in the money. And look how even a trade on here, based on the 64 tick stop, would have survived. Would have shat my pants for a while, but would have survived. Came back. I'm like, okay, tried. Nope, no. Ooh, tried. And then went down here. I'm like, I'm screwed. At this point, my stop's right here because it accepted the pivot. So I reduced risk. Went up here. I'm like, it's golden. It's about to run. Ooh, came back. Oh, no. It had quite a bit of chances to go. I believe the 5-to-1 target or even the measure move target was in the cards, especially based on the right side pivot being higher up in the rhythm. So that was interesting. All previous ones came a bit lower, more closer to the kill zone. Possibly this is the kill zone. However, definitely a bit higher up in the rhythm of this gentle swings. And it did not work out. Such is life. For a small 0.3 or negative 0.3 handles, in absolute dollar amounts, it was about $11. So it wasn't that bad because of the position size. I'm only on one tick, or on one contract rather. Anything else? Oh yeah, I did note that this was a possible trade entry. I was not looking at the charts at the time, although maybe at this time I should be looking at it. Woke up a bit later because I knew I was already ahead for the week. But whatever. There was a trade. This was the unemployment report, I believe. Yeah, it was the unemployment. Zoomed, retest, And would I go straight off the orange swing and not the entire one? Possibly. But I'd probably consider the entry being right here and increasing the stop. That's how I would cover both scenarios. I would double this out, something like that. On the right side of the pivot, how scary does that look? On the right side. Whoops. You're going, zoom. You're like, nah, I ain't coming back. Retest. Entry. Came back, went to target. Did he even reach this? I'm not even sure. It didn't even reach this. So this would have been a stop out right here, unless I was willing to take profits really early here or here. Probably profit stop. Nice and tight for a 3.4 target or 3.4 R trade. Not too bad. Yeah. So that'll be it for this week. 6.6 handles, 6.16 handles, not too bad. Most of the trades, if not all the trades, immaculate. Quite content with the trading this week. Markets are moving. Looking forward to next week and the rest of the year. So again, the comments were right side entry, follow the swing, don't be stubborn on the initial entry. See right here, don't be stubborn. Yeah, it's a little higher, but the stop still covers the majority of the trade or the majority of the idea. And yeah. See, this is the FOMC. Generally speaking, I'm trading the morning session up until about 11:30, 12. However, for FOMCs, I don't mind just taking a look on it or an eye on it, especially when sellers or buyers are being trapped or consolidated in a tight range. Because from there, you're getting a nice gap or retest. Anyways, guys, that'll be it for today. Hope you enjoyed. Till next week, adios.